Welcome. I'm Janelle Kolaski, a career mindset coach and actor.
And I'm Amanda Dubois, a self-authenticity and prosperity life coach and actor as well. And we're your co-host of Mindset Artistry YouTube channel,
where we teach you the art of discovering and using your mindset
to build a career and life you desire.
To see you here. Before I get started, I want everybody to remember that I want you to embrace your greatness. And so by doing that, things that you desire will come to you. So what I would like for you to do is drop in the comments a block, a limiting belief. And if you don't know what limiting belief is, it's a belief that has put restraints on you, that has put limits on you in trying to go after your goals or your aspirations or even yourself, and telling yourself, like, I'm not worthy. That is a limiting belief. So things like that, or a block that, because I didn't go to college, I'm not worthy of having an elite success, or I'm not worthy of being an executive in any company or career or business that you're in, okay? So I want you to drop down in the comments something that, again, this is a safe space. So you can drop in the comment a limiting belief, a block that may, again, that come up for you. We all have it. Trust me, we definitely do. I've had plenty that I was not good enough to speak in front of people. That has been, I'm not worthy of success because I haven't had examples of success in my family, or at least a level that I would like to be on. So how, what right do I have to be that successful if it wasn't in my family or no one around me? And so that's where I want to talk about, and talk about how you have the ability to discover your blocks, your limiting beliefs, and heal them. And the reason why this came up for me, because recently I've been really diving back into just my mental health, my physical health, on top of everything that was going on. And I realized that during my meditation, I love doing meditation throughout the day. In the morning, to start my day off and set intentions. If you haven't listened to our previous episode about setting intentions, please do, because then you'll understand how important it is to set intentions with your life. So setting intentions, so I would meditate. And as I was meditating, I'm coming up and embarking on a new journey in my life. And I felt some type of tightness in my chest. And I've been feeling this for maybe like a week. And like, it's just, I'm like, I went up a pair of stairs, a flight of stairs, and I'm like, I was like, ooh, girl, we need to do some more cardio. 1. And 2, it stuck with me. It was just like random pain in my chest, and I just didn't understand what it was. And so I meditated, and more so just sat down in stillness and silence. Now, you don't have to meditate and be like, oh my gosh, I got to have all the bells and the songs. You can just have a quiet moment. And in that quiet moment, I realized that it was activating again within me. My chest started like getting tight, and I couldn't understand what it was. So instead of like questioning, oh my gosh, I don't know, I'm ignoring it, actually, instead of ignoring it, I decided to ask the question, what is it that's happening, that's showing up for me? Like, what is it in my heart chakra, that is activated right now? Why does it feel restricted? Why does it feel tight? Why does it feel like it's palpitating? And when I did that, an immediate vision came in my mind of my heart being in shackles, like in a chained up. Really very vivid, very, very vivid. And I was like, oh my gosh, it took me back. And I was like, that's what it is. I have inflicted on myself and put my heart chakra, or your feelings, however you want to identify it as. I had restricted it because of all the previous pain that I had. And with this like solar eclipse, Mercury retrograde, all the things, the energy, and just everything that's going on in the world, I was trying to keep it safe. So I put it in chain, and it just got smaller and smaller, and I felt like it was dying a little bit. And I was like, oh no, I can't have this. This is not what I want. This is not what I desire. This is not who I want to be. I am a very loving person, but I'm denying myself of self-love, or just love in general. And so I decided to do some breath work and breathe into it and allow the energy to flow through, to break free of this chain, of this darkness that was weighing on me. And as I did, and I got deeper into it, I understood where it came from, which was just, again, the past coming up and afraid to let me go towards the future, right? Because our past is going to do that. Because it's the comfort zone, the things that we were previously adapted to, they want to be relevant again. They're fighting for attention. They want you to be there. And it's like, well, I'm no longer there. And so all that was coming up. And I allowed myself the beautiful energy to go, all right, I'm letting go. I have actually healed from this before. And I understand why it's coming up, just to make sure that I am healed from it so it's not in me, so that when I move forward into this new step and new chapter in my life, I'm ready. I'm fully present. And I also allow myself to grow and elevate to the next level. And as I did that, it was a very visual exercise that I did of allowing the, pink light, white light coming into my heart and allowing it to break free of the shackles and the chains, and allowing my heart to get big again, because it was really small, to get big again and get back to color, allowing the energy of the color and the universe and all that. And as I did that, immediately after, I felt like I lost 100 pounds. My heart was so much lighter. I was so energized, and I felt so full of love and light. Now, I'm not saying that healing is going to be instant, because throughout the day, it was trying to creep back in like a stalker. It was trying to be like, hey, like I would do something really nice, and I'm like, oh, I'm like, we talked about this. And so I just reimagined the work that I did in the morning, and immediately it went away. And as I did that throughout the day, it got easier and easier. And then the next day, it was gone. Now, again, healing is not going to happen that way. It's going to only not happen as quickly. But that's because I've been doing it for so long. I've been doing it for a while now, so I know how to tap into. And so all that to say is that we have the ability to discover blocks, limiting beliefs, things that we are telling ourselves that are causing pain and suffering. And when we allow ourselves and allow our self-awareness to be present and allow ourselves to be vulnerable in those states and going, I understand that there's something happening here. There's something activating within me. There's something being triggered within me. Then if you ask the right questions, the powerful questions, like, like I said, what's holding my heart back? What am I feeling in my heart? Or like, what's showing up for me? You will see it. No matter how crazy the image is or the thought that comes up for you, just believe it. Just not believe it, but just like take note of it. Go, oh, wow, that's really, again, I would have never thought I had like chains around my heart and things like that. So, and I want to dive more into that. But now, because I've been talking for quite a while now, I want to pass this on to you. And if you don't know, this is the amazing Janelle, and she is my co-partner in all that I do with Mindset Artistry, all that we do with Mindset Artistry. Tell me your experience throughout your life and this journey of healing, and how you've come to develop a skill around seeing and discovering blocks, limiting beliefs, negative things we talk about ourselves, and how you've worked through it or are currently working through it.
I would say the biggest skill that I've built over the past few years has been paying attention how I'm feeling in my body. So I would say I notice that something is off when it feels like I have to stretch. Like I really need to stretch my body out. And I figured that out for myself, because then I would go stretch. And it was like I could never stretch enough. But then I would go and do therapy and talk out whatever was happening, and usually having to do some breath work and tears and all of that to get out whatever was blocking the energy in me. And then I didn't have to stretch anymore. So for me, I feel tight throughout my entire body as well as specific areas. But there are a lot of people walking around with pain, and they assume the pain is just about, I don't know, maybe you hurt yourself, but there's a lot of people in pain like, I don't know where this is coming from. When did this start? And a lot of that is pent up energy and blocks from things that you haven't processed emotionally, and it's causing your physical pain. So I think that's a tool that I've really learned. And also asking myself, because I don't know, even recently I felt like I was being ignored, and that really upset me. And some people don't care if they're ignored. I mean, I'm sure it annoys you to be ignored, but for me, that's really, really frustrating. And I felt like I needed to cry, which may seem like an extreme response, but these are things you have to pay attention to. why am I having such an extreme response to being ignored? Oh, that's something that I need to heal then, because that's a pretty intense response for me, whereas I just said for other people, it would just be like, wouldn't matter. So that's something else that I pay attention to. And sure enough, I addressed it, and I also asked myself, well, what's happening right now? Who's talking right now? Is it the younger version of me that was hurt, or is it the person now where is in a new place and not the same circumstances and everything is okay? And so you may think, all right, well, just get over it, but you're not over it because it keeps coming up. So sure, you're in a new place and you're safe, but that's not enough. You need to pay attention to the wound that is coming up, or you will never move forward, ever. And so those are the tools, I guess you could say, that I use, or the awareness that I now have.
Amazing. I love all of that. And I think as human beings, we turn into, I always say this, like living robots, because we start getting caught up in the systems of the day, and they become our routines. We become like very systematic moving through the world, and we tend to forget to stop, slow down, and going, what's going on with me? And what just came up for me is that so often our child version of ourselves suffered in some way, somehow, maybe pain, we were bullied, we were talked about, we were in love the way we had hoped to be. We, grew up in, poverty, our siblings used to fight. Whatever it is for you, it is absolutely okay. But here's the beautiful thing, is that as an adult now, you can be the adult your child version needed, which means all that pain that child version of yourself, when you were 3, 4, or whatever age you were, you can talk to that child version of yourself and be the adult that you needed. Care for them, love them, support them, allow the healing, take them out, take yourself out on a date, or you wanted to learn roller skating, but you never could because your parents never got that for you, you couldn't afford it. Go to a roller rink right now and learn. There are plenty of free things out there. But what I'm saying is that we can be the healing version that we need to the wounded self that we were. And by doing it, it may be like a weird concept, or like, I can't do that, only special people can. Absolutely not. Everybody has the gift and the ability to heal anything that they desire to. The matter is, what comes down to it is the willingness of, am I tired of being exhausted or in pain all the time? Am I willing to step out of this dark gray matter, this hole? And I know it's so much easier said than done, of course, and it may take some time. But if you start thinking a little bit every day, planting a little bit of that seed, you plant that seed going, you know what, I'm ready to change. I no longer want to feel this way. I no longer want to be angry all the time or resentful. I no longer want to be around people that treat me less than I deserve. I no longer want to be in relationships that make me feel like I'm not beautiful, or I have to be here because that's all I'm worth having. Then plant that seed one day and going, I'm getting out, or I will overcome this. I deserve better. And then every day do something really small to nurture that seed like a garden. Water it, allow it, shift it to the sun. And whatever that means for you, journaling, maybe taking a free class, talking to someone like myself or Janelle. We offer so many free resources for you. And this is why we do Mindset Artistry, is because we know it can be so hard to overcome something sometimes you cannot see, or maybe you cannot put words to. And it takes time. It's to take, again, Nell and I are still going through different versions, because once you feel like, oh, I healed from this, yes, kicking ass, I learned, I got it, something else comes up that was unrelated to it, but somehow is. You're like, oh, come on, really? But guess what? You already healed from that previous version. And so now you have a new tool, you have a new outlook, a new feeling, a new energy, and a new emotion that can take on the next unhealed wound, the next trauma, or the next pain. And know that, it's never over until you're in the ground. It's never over. You look at all people who have made it in their 80s and 90s. They go, I'm starting a new career. I've jumped out of a perfectly good plane. I've married the love of my life. It is never too late. I don't ever want you to feel like it's unattainable, because it is. But sometimes it takes learning, it takes lessons, it takes your willingness, it takes a part of you that needs to die, a version of you that no longer, it needs to be present in order for you to receive what you desire. And then also it means fuck it. I know that sounds crazy, but like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going for what I want. Fuck it. I'm going for what I want. I want to choose my happiness, because it could be a choice. And so anyone out there who has like a limiting belief or a block that may be like triggered or activated with them, please let me know. Is this relating to you? Am I catching? Is it going through one ear or out the other? Let me know. Is it like, where do you feel it? If I'm talking about even just if you woke up tomorrow and you had your ideal life, how would that feel? And now the version you are today, what is it that you're not doing that version self, that future self is doing? Is that person finally forgiving all the people that hurt them? Because I know it can be hard to forgive people that hurt you. Forgive them, but do not forget what they've done. Of course not. We're not saying that at all. But you're forgiving yourself so that you can let go of that darkness within you, so that you can move forward and accept and live in the light that you deserve, in your greatness. Now, you have had the ability to do multiple careers and do so many amazing things. If you don't know about Janelle is a badass, boss-ass lady, woman, okay? I'm not going to say B-I-T-C-H, because we, although we can be. But, yeah, she's a boss woman, and she's done roller derby. I mean, she has been an amazing daughter and sister and advocate for those that don't have a voice. She is a model. She's an actor, producer, stand-up comedian, by the way. If no one knows, she has done a one-woman show. She's done some comedy, and that is scary, honey, right? Writing and all that, right? Exactly. That is very scary. So throughout those amazing versions of yourself, now, tell me something like how you've handled the fear. I know you talked about like Travel Channel, about you being a host, and even though you were scared, you still did it anyway, which is a great thing to remember. Even though you're scared, let your action overcome the fear. What was it that kept you going and going, you know what? If not me, then who? What was it for you?
I would say I always try to zoom out my perspective. I'm always thinking, I guess my brother helps me a lot because he has autism and he's amazing and he has a lot to teach all of us, but society limits him genuinely. And so it's a blessing and a curse because you get a certain perspective of people, but always trying to love them and like, okay, you don't know what you don't know. But just this idea of who am I to limit myself with the privilege that I have is literally insane. Like if I don't do well, it's all my fault. And that's actually the case for everybody, but this is just what I would tell myself. Like the world is definitely my oyster based on my appearance and based on the fact that I don't have a disability. And that's not saying that people can't do whatever they want with their life. So please hear me clearly here to stay on point and hear my message. The message is that is how I spoke to myself, because the only limitation you will have, because society is pretty nice to you, is that you would get in your own way. And I just really value life, I think, is the other thing. And I tell everybody, stop walking around with your head down, because, before you know it, it's going to be over. And I never want to get to my 80s and say, oh, what if I tried? That kills me. The idea that I don't know what would happen because I didn't try. And I want that for other people. And maybe you don't have that, and maybe you're very comfortable, and that's fine too. But if you're like, what could get me out of this frame of mind or past this block? And then that would be the question. What is the reason that you don't care about your dreams? Honestly, I am curious about that. If there are things that you want to do and you know that you want to do them, but you're like, I don't know. But you do know, and it would bother you. So ask yourself, what is that block? And so I would say that's why I try everything that I want to try. I'm just grateful for life and the privilege I have and the ability. And but it's not easy, and I wanted to speak on what you said about the healing stuff because it's very frustrating. Even Friday, I was mad at myself because I do a lot of work. Amanda knows I'm always in breath work, EMDR therapy, which is a body-based form of therapy, as is breath work, because you're focusing on your body and not your mind. You're finding where the pain is showing up on your body, focusing there and breathing through it and releasing it. And Amanda and I are always working on ourselves because that makes the best coaches and the best people. And there are times where I'm like, this isn't even working. I'm still having the same issues. I should just give up. So I just want to tell people watching, it's not easy. But then, I don't know, I'll meet up with an old friend. And they're like, wow, you've changed. You know, it's like, I don't know if you've ever lost weight. You've been on a weight loss journey, anybody, and then you're just like in it and you're just doing your fitness journey is probably the easiest way to explain this. And then people see you and they're like, my God, you've like lost weight. And but because you've been focusing on the scale and just seeing yourself every day, you don't see your progression. So you don't have to ask people like, hey, am I changing? But I just want to encourage you, it's very hard. It's not linear. Some days you have good days, some days you have bad days. Certain things that are healing are going to be easier to heal. Other things are going to take more time. It's always going to be frustrating, but please have grace with yourself. Be kind with yourself if you are trying. And if you're not trying, you can still have grace that, you know, it's hard, but please, you have one life. And I don't want you to allow other people's stuff that they projected on you that caused pain within you to take your life away. So you don't get to have the life that you want because you're living by what other people did to you. Stop. This is Coach Janelle coming in. There's something out there for you, but you gotta have grace and enough love for yourself and patience to work through it.
Wow, you've dropped so many gems, and I love that. And what I will say too is like speaking on what Janelle is saying, like don't let other people define your life. Don't let other people define your life. Don't also let other people define your healing, because they don't feel what you felt in the same. They could literally witness the same scenario, could have been the same place at the same time, but the way you saw it and the way they saw it and the way your body absorbed it and your mind is absolutely different. And so do not let somebody define your healing, go, get over it. It's so easy. I did it. Don't let someone ever say it to you. Let them live in that mindset for them, because they're projecting on you, because maybe they actually didn't heal. Maybe they're denying it. They suppressed it so down deep that they think they healed. In reality, they didn't.
If they knew the journey, they wouldn't be talking to you like
exactly.
that. If you're really working on the healing, you know it takes time. No way.
Exactly. So if someone did the work, they would never talk to you that way. They would acknowledge it and go, oh, yeah, okay, well, whatever you need to do, I completely understand. And so take it with a grain of salt. Don't let somebody define your reality. Don't let somebody define you. Don't let somebody define your healing, because everybody's journey is different. And don't compare yourself to somebody else's healing journey either, because you don't know the amount of work they've done. You don't know how quick or how slow it was for them. You don't know when they started, when they ended, what they're doing. Put your focus on you. That is the only thing that you can control. And by doing that, again, like Nell said, it's not a linear process, and it's a never-ending process as well. Maybe when you get to the 80s, you'll be like, all right, you'll be like, fuck it, whatever. But it's a never-ending process, because you're also a living being, and you're changing. The world is constantly changing around you, and you're trying to adapt and keep up as well. And so imagine that. It's like an organism or a plant that is trying to keep up with the constant changing of the weather. It can be difficult. You'll You'll grow one day, you'll grow a flower, the next day it could die, it'll wilt. You're overwatered, you're dried out, your roots need to be tended to. All these things, sometimes, there's so much happening. So give yourself the grace and time to understand that it's not going to happen overnight. But when it does, it's worthwhile. And the healing is, again, when you pay attention to yourself, keep a log, a daily log. Just keep a little book by you or keep it in your phone, because we all have that. Like at this point, you have your notes in your phone. If you get activated within a situation, or activated meaning like there's an emotion that's high within you that's causing some type of pain or suffering or anxiety or stress or depression, whatever it is, and it's not on a level of joy or happiness. Even then, you could also take note of that as well. But if you really want to focus on where you need to heal throughout the day, and you could try this for a couple of days, even a week, I would suggest, because every day is different. Find out whenever you get triggered or activated, take a note of it. Where were you? Who were you around? What did you hear? What did you say? And what were you thinking? And it could be just words. It doesn't have to be long, extended, like, oh my gosh, I got to write a whole paragraph because it sounds like homework, right? All right, for those that don't like much homework. Okay, I get it. But, it could be a simple word like stressed, the bodega. I don't know, but because remember, our mind always remembers. So when you go back to that, you'll remember. Those words will activate, like, oh, that's what it was. Okay. And so just take note of what it was throughout the day, and then give yourself time, and then you're going to go back to it. And what you're going to do is revisit those situations and going, what was it that was activated within me? What do I need to heal? What is coming up for me? Why was I activated by someone saying that my shoes were dirty? Well, because back in the day, I'll say this, back in the day when I only had a limited amount of sneakers, I had to keep them clean. So if they were dirty, that activated a moment of like, oh gosh, I didn't have much when I was younger. So like the fact that I let my one pair of sneakers get dirty means that I don't care for it. I'm throwing it away. Like I devalue it. That's a moment. And just by saying that, then you can go, okay, so is it because I didn't have much money and I value the clothes, or is it that I felt that I was being seen as dirty or judged by that? And so that is diving into the healing process, and is not easy one. It's not an easy one, but you have to be willing, because if you're tired of being there, you're going to do what you need to come that pain and that suffering, especially if you've been blind to it for so long, because the people around you, family does it too, parents, friends, they treat us a certain way, and we've adapted to that behavior, and we've accepted it, and we know no better, but yet we deserve better, because they didn't do their own healing, and their healing is not your priority. You are not to allow yourself to be involved in somebody else's chaos. It is a choice. Stop getting involved in somebody else's chaos. Stop getting involved in somebody else's chaos. Get involved in your own healing, because when you heal yourself, then you can get to a point where if they're not, you can bring a cow to water, but you can't force them to drink, right? So you can tell them, like, listen, I think there's something that you need to, I'm seeing some patterns here. You might want to look into that. Oh, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, all right, then no problem. Step away. They're not ready. And that is absolutely okay. We take time. Sometimes people are never ready. Nelly? Oh, I thought you had something to say.
Yeah. I would say it's hard, and it is a delicate balance, because I'm even going through that right now, where I don't give up, and I am a fighter, and it's not a negative thing. It's just I really believe in people, which makes me a great coach and a great friend and whatever it is. But then the danger in that is really like keep going up against people that aren't going to change, and being like, well, what if I try this, and what if I try that? So maybe somebody listening, you're like that too. And it's hard, because you have to find the balance where it could be a bad relationship. Like, I don't anyone, like, you want to fight for something and you want to have grace for people, but then also you don't want to say, like, an example of a relationship where well, he's only mean to me sometimes, but he's mostly nice. And so that's actually why I fight so hard for myself, because I'm like, okay, there's the balance of like accepting where people are at, but then also you need to stand up for yourself. But then what I would say to people is, the person that really struggles with that, no matter who the person is, at a certain point, if you see they're really not going to change, you just have to cut them out of your life, because you just can't do that to yourself. You can't, because you're not responsible for other people's healing. And it's good to just be like, oh, that's how they are. But everybody needs to take accountability. And if somebody's lack of accountability is continuously poisoning your life and abusing you, you need to cut them out. And it's hard, because it's a balance, and I think it's something everybody has to find for themselves. But the whole healing thing is hard, and so we're here for you, and
yes.
we want to help you, because it's but there's a bottom to it, which is what my breathwork teacher always says. So there is hope there. There are definitely things that used to bother me in the past. And then one day you're walking around and you notice something that would normally trigger or activate you. And then you don't even notice it. And you're like, oh.
Yeah.
So there is a positive. Don't worry. There is a bottom to it once you do the work.
Absolutely. I agree with you 100% that it will eventually, it's a temporary moment. It is a temporary thing. If you remember that, you'll know that eventually it will subside. It will no longer be relevant in your life. It will no longer trigger you in any place that you're in. And sometimes your friends or family cut you out of their life, and it was the best thing for you. Absolutely. I've personally cut out some family, and it was very hard. And Nell knows, like, it was very hard because it was someone very close to me. But I realized there was some very damaging behavior that not only was done to me, but people that I love, that I realized, like, oh, it's now being done to me. And I am not going to continue this pattern. I will not accept it, because the minute that I condone and consent to this behavior by this one person, then I will allow other people to do the same to me. And it was the hardest thing, because I love that person and I still do and wish the best for that person, but I'm not responsible for their healing. I'm not. And I will not be belittled or talked bad to or made me feel like I'm crazy, and I'm not. Absolutely not. I will not accept it. I will not condone to it, and I do not consent to it, because I know my worth, and actions speak louder than words, especially with other people saying that they love you and then they do the total opposite of their actions. And so sometimes it hurts when people, family or friends, cut you off, and that may be the universe or God telling you, honey, you weren't in the rooms if they were talking about you. I'm helping you. You weren't ready. You weren't ready to walk away. So guess what? I'm gonna force them to go, because now you can work on you and see your value, so that whenever they come back or they show up again, you're like, all right, I'm good. No worries. But that is a gift, if anything. Yes.
Oh my God, such a gift. And for stubborn people like myself, it has happened. So, and I would say that, yeah, like, pay attention to how people react to you when you say to them, your behavior is hurting me. And if they don't change or they don't care, I would say that's a pretty clear marker that, all right, well, this person is who they are, but it's not safe for me to be around them. Because if you know, because we're all human and we're trying to work with each other's wounds and everything that's going on. Like, oh God, sorry I hurt you. Like, I'm going to do this and change. And then they do change and you're like, okay. But I think, because I'm always trying to give people a gauge, if you see somebody that keeps doing the same thing, you've already tried to talk to them about it multiple times, you don't see that they're trying to do the healing work, then I would say it's good to know it's time to cut it.
Yes, I appreciate it. Thank you for saying that as well. It's not something like, well, they do it once and then they're like, I'm done, whatever, bye-bye now. No. This is, especially if you care for the person, and you've tried and you've talked and all the things. And it took a while for me as well. It wasn't something I did overnight, because, again, I cared. And I do want the best for people, and that's why we are coaches. We want the best for you. We want to see you thrive. We want to see you happy. We want to see you as your most successful self, however that looks for you and you only, not what other people told you need to be or should be or could be. What you want. What are your desires? What are your values? Those are the things that matter, because when you are rooted in that, you will know where not to be. You will know where you don't want to be. And we have to get closing on this topic here, and I want to thank everyone who joined us today. I hope that at some point you feel seen, heard, and understand that the healing process is, it's a never-ending journey, but it's worth it. It is not a linear process. It is you're going to come across blocks and boulders. You're going to come across a lot of stalled and dull times and lonely times throughout this process as well, because it's going to get it becomes very lonely, because only you can understand your healing. And sometimes you got to process the healing alone. You have to. And so what I'll say is everything that you desire is within reach. Allow yourself the gift and the grace and the gratitude to receive it. But in order to do that, you need to establish and discover who you are, what you want to do in your life, and how you want to live. Because how you choose to live impacts your reality, and impacts who you are, where you're going, and the people that you surround yourself with, and also the career and things that you do. It absolutely.
What are your thoughts about this episode?
Drop it in the comments and let us know what you want to dive into next.
Subscribe, like, share, and click the link below to book a free consultation. And
We'll see you next time.